The Primary 1 Literacy Assessment and Action Resource has been created in response to the Scottish Government's Literacy Action Plan. The overarching vision of the Literacy Action Plan is to raise standards of literacy for all from the early years to adulthood, with particular emphasis on raising the literacy skill levels of those vulnerable to poor literacy outcomes, to adapt more personalised, child-centred approaches towards literacy assessment, and to ensure that the right actions are taken to improve literacy and wider learning outcomes longer term. These are the key themes of the Primary 1 Literacy Assessment and Action Resource, or POLAAR. The resource is aimed at Primary 1 teachers and is intended to help them identify, support and assess children who are most at risk of developing later difficulties with reading. It is also a useful resource for senior managements in schools. The Primary 1 Literacy Assessment and Action Resource was developed collaboratively by educational psychology bodies including the Scottish Division of Educational Psychologists and the Association of Scottish Principal Educational Psychologists, the Scottish Government and Education Scotland, and it was trialled in a number of authorities throughout Scotland. POLAAR is based on research commissioned by the Scottish Government undertaken by Professor Keith Topping. This research identifies key factors which predict later performance in literacy. It meets the Scottish Government's Literacy Action Plan commitment to encourage all local authorities to assess children in literacy in Primary 1 and to act on the outcomes of the assessment. POLAAR follows a stage model of intervention in which the least intrusive methods of assessment are advocated, with an emphasis on early identification and intervention where difficulties are noted.